Well, folks, March has come to an end. I am very ready for April. I'm very ready for spring. And I'm very ready to tell you about all of the books I read in March. So in total, I have read 31 3/4 of a book. Today is Sunday, March 30th when I am filming, and I am pretty positive that by the time I post this, I will have finished that final book. Now, when you hear me say I've read 32 books, here's the breakdown of how I read them. But keep in mind, I'm a college professor. I had spring break off. So I did do a readathon day where I read 6 books in like 26 hours. And it is the Trans Rights Readathon at the end of March. My approach this year was that I was going to donate $5 per book finished during the readathon to Transmission, an organization supporting trans people in the Carolinas based in Asheville, North Carolina. And so I wanted to read as many books as possible. I was going for volume this year. Last year I read more deeply and slowly. This year I read them fast because I wanted to get a bunch. And so far I've read 7, I think, books for the Trans Rights Readathon. I have a comic that I'm going to read tonight. I would like to hit 10. I don't know if that's going to happen. But anyway, here are the books I read in order with star ratings. And if they were a 5-star, I will tell you in depth about them. If they were not a 5-star, but you want to know more about my thoughts, comment the title of the book in the comments, and I will give you my written thoughts on that book in particular. I am doing this for 2 reasons. 1, I am kind of tired, to be honest, but I want to talk to you about books. I just don't know that I can get through 32 books. And 2, it's going to rain. I just don't know when. So time is of the essence. The first I read was Paper Doll by Dylan Mulvaney. This is a memoir of her experience of the days of girlhood as well as the time since then, and I thought it was phenomenal. I really liked it. While I've always respected Dylan Mulvaney and thought that she was interesting, now I'm like truly a fan. She is so honest, so thoughtful, so authentic. This was a great memoir. If you're looking for trans memoirs to read, or just memoirs about people who work in like the internet, which is an area that I'm like just fascinated by, I thought it was great. I really appreciated her transparency when she was like, yeah, I started doing this stuff and I got a bunch of followers and I got a bunch of sponsorships and I got free stuff, and that's cool. Yeah, it's super cool. I get free stuff and I do not have the following Dylan has, and I still think it's like outrageously cool. So I appreciated that. I also read Cazadora by Romina Garver, which was the sequel to Lobezona. This is a perfect sequel. It was so good. It was so interesting. It expanded the world, leaned more into issues of gender than immigration status than the first book did. I'm not going to spoil anything if you haven't read Lobezona yet, but if you haven't read Lobezona, get on it. It's so good. I also recommend it in my diverse YA book recs video, so if you're looking for things like that, go check that out. I read The Wash Day Diaries, which is a graphic novel. I gave that 4 stars. I read Cheer Up, Love and Pom Poms, which is a comic about a trans cheerleader and her best friend who is joining the cheer team. Phenomenal. 5 stars. I read it. It brought me a lot of comfort while I was waiting for my partner to have an appendectomy. He is fine. The book was delightful. I loved it. Could not more highly recommend it. I read The Anatomy of Magic, which is like a 3-star read for me. I just didn't vibe with it. I wanted it to be mostly ancestral magic with a second chance romance, and it was a second chance romance with a dash of ancestral magic. It is not a bad book. It's just not what I wanted it to be. Rose and Chains was my top read of this month. It is by Julie Soto. I got an arc. It is a Hermione fanfiction adaptation. She wrote The Auction and then adapted it to this. It is completely unique from the world of Harry Potter and Hermione. So if like anything related to J.K. Rowling being a TERF gives you the ick, this is entirely separate. You can enjoy this without giving her anything. It was such a good fantasy book. I think people are going to describe it as romantasy, but I would not, frankly. It is a fantasy book where someone is being held against her will. And that's not romantic to me, but there is like tension. I think the second book, depending on how it's written, could maybe be perceived that way. This is a fantasy book. It's so good. I could not put it down. It was incredible. 5 stars, 6 stars, 10 stars. Amazing. Another 5-star read, The Warbler by Sarah Beth Durst, who wrote The Spell Shop. The Warbler is completely different. It is much more, not quite thriller, but close to thriller. There's a woman who is cursed. Her family is cursed to never stay in one place. As soon as it starts to feel like home, they turn into trees. It was awesome. It was weird. It was like a little bit stressful, but in the best way possible. I love The Warbler and don't think that it has so far gotten the hype on Book Talk that it deserves. 4.5 stars to The Relationship Mechanic. This was a great sapphic romance. I really appreciated the representation of working class people. I just thought it went on just a tad bit longer than it needed to, but it was good. The Teller of Small Fortunes was my first book of my readathon, and it was like it was just good. It wasn't great. I think I had overhyped it in my mind, which is the problem. I liked it. I thought it was very classic cozy fantasy, but I was looking for it to have like a little something extra that it didn't, so I gave it 4 stars. I read The Tea Dragon Festival, and with it reread The Tea Dragon Society. These are precious, adorable, perfect, wonderful, beautiful books. Could not more highly recommend them. I read A Banh Mi for Two, which is a sapphic YA romance, and it was so cute. It made me very hungry, but I loved it. I also read Say a Little Prayer, which is a 5-star YA book for me. It is about a young woman who comes out as bisexual between her experience with the church and her sister's experience from the church. She's really separated from organized religion, especially in her small town. But she, after slapping a bully, has to decide between forgoing her role as Donkey in Shrek the Musical or heading off to a religious sleepaway camp for a week. And she picks sleepaway camp, and it was fascinating. I absolutely loved it, and I love books set at like a summer camp. So that was 5 stars for me. The chapter titles alone were flippin' hilarious. I don't know if I can say the F word on YouTube. Someone let me know. It was so good. I also, during my readathon, read The Seep by Hannah Porter. This I had checked out of the library for the Transwise Readathon, but read it early, so maybe I'll still make the donation for it. But Seep is about an alien invasion through the perspective of a trans woman who is really hesitant to participate in this invasion. And it is interesting because it's not like aliens pop up and there's little green people running around. It is like much more insidious, and it comes in through the water supply. It was absolutely fascinating. And the last book of my 26-ish hour readathon was Free Period. If you have a teen in your life who is interested in activism and organizing, you need to give them a copy of Free Period. It was awesome. It does a really good job of exploring like different approaches to organizing and to show like the pros and cons of both, as well as talking about period equity. I loved it. I thought it was really compelling, really well done, funny at times. It was awesome. I read Who to F Wants to Know. It was a graphic novel about a young Muslim teen, and I loved it. It was so cool. I thought I saw perspectives that I'd never seen before. I do actually think it's a sequel, and I did not read the first one, and I still understood it, but there's like one character who's only depicted as an outline, and that I didn't understand. I probably need to Google that. It is going to rain very soon. Take It From the Top was another summer camp, a theater camp book. I would give this like 4.5 stars. The Last White Man Standing, I don't know if I read it at the wrong time or what. I just feel like I didn't really get it. 3.5 stars. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, the most mid book in the Hunger Games series. I'm so sorry. I teach a Hunger Games class, and this is the most mid book. I'm right. Sorry. 4 stars. Sunrise on the Reaping, ripped out my guts and stomped on them. 5 stars. It is starting to rain, so we're going to rapid fire through the rest. Gooseberry by Robin Gao, 3 stars. I gave Robin Gao's Dear Mothman 5 stars. It was one of the best books with transrep I've ever read. I just didn't really vibe with Gooseberry. Johnny Appleseed by Joshua Whitehead. It's about the existence of a two-spirit person. 4 stars. As the Crow Flies, 3 stars. Didn't understand the ending. A Harvest of Hearts felt very much like Howl's Moving Castle if you like the book. 3 stars for me. Make Sure You Die Screaming by Z. Carlson. I really liked. It was very weird. If you liked Rainbow Black or Kitten Tits, you're going to love that. I gave it 4.5. Bitter by Akwaeke Emeze, I gave 4.5 stars. The Summer I Ate the Rich, 4.75 stars. It was such a fun audiobook. I highly recommend it. The Baker and the Bard, a graphic novel with trans representation, 5 stars. Home Buddy, a graphic memoir with non-binary representation, 5 stars. Enchantra, 4.5 stars. Genderqueer, 4.5 stars. The Siren, 4.5 stars. Keeper of Lonely Spirits, I haven't yet finished, so check out my Goodreads if you want to. It's gonna rain, so I am going inside. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful end of the March.